took a twist when President Trump announced on cable TV that a suspect was in custody. Here's CBS's Aaron Navarro.
When asked about the ideology of the shooter by Fox News this morning, President Trump declined to expand on that, which I think is notable just given how on the day of Kirk's assassination, in the video President Trump posted from the Oval Office, he did seem to cast blame on what he has, quote, called the radical left, though at this moment he doesn't seem to be getting ahead of where this investigation is.
Police say they believe the suspect acted alone, but they emphasize their investigation is not over. CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd on what they're doing now.
Law enforcement professionals will be combing through this individual's history, including his social media, his communications with friends and family, and his movements. The immediate priority is to ensure that there is no ongoing threat to the public.
CBS's Scott McFarland says Tyler Robinson will likely face state and federal charges.
This would be both a federal and a local investigation, but I'd expect the U.S. attorney for the District of Utah, who took over in February 2025 on an acting basis, to be lead on this prosecution. And that means there'll be a detention hearing, a preliminary hearing, and that could happen early next week.
To the Midwest, where an ICE agent has shot and killed a man.
It happened in Franklin Park, northwest of Chicago, during what ICE officials called a targeted law enforcement activity. They say when they stopped a vehicle, the driver attempted to ram into the agents. One officer was struck and dragged before he fired at the suspect. The officer suffered severe injuries. The man who was killed is identified as Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. Officials with the Department of Homeland Security say he had a criminal history of reckless driving. They also say he entered the U.S. at an unknown date and time. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Tennessee's Republican Governor Bill Lee says he'll be talking with President Trump today about his plans to deploy the National Guard to Memphis. Pastor Earl Fisher is wary.
I think you'll see far too many of them in places like North Memphis and South Memphis and heavily black populations.
The Prime Minister of Qatar is going to have dinner with President Trump today. On the agenda, the Israeli attack on Hamas leaders in Doha that Israel didn't tell the U.S. about in advance. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio will be in Israel next week to show support before a UN debate over the creation of a Palestinian state. Wall Street less than an hour before the close, the Dow is down about 0.5%. This is CBS News.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Washington healthcare officials are sounding the alarm on healthcare, but first, let's go to KIRO News Radio with Nate Connors.
Hey, thanks, Katrina. Wilcox Family Farm Eggs has our update. In Lakewood, we've got a brush fire. It's a North 5 and South 84th. Now, it's way at the top of the hill right now. There aren't any I-5 lanes being blocked as fire crews are tackling this from the on-ramp, but this could change. At any rate, this is a big distraction. You've got a brief backup at the scene. South 5 through JBLM, we've got a 3-mile bumper-to-bumper backup starting near Berkeley. Tacoma to Olympia has inched up a bit to 50-minute commute. South 405 is now crowded between Factoria and the VMAC. Bellevue to Renton, 15 minutes. South 5 heading into Seattle, crowded from Northgate into downtown. Linwood to Seattle's up to a 25-minute drive. Outside of this, we're looking good. Fresh food comes from local farms. Check the package for healthier eggs with 3 times the omega-3s. Choose Wilcox Omega-3 eggs, locally fresh since 1909. KIRO News Radio, real-time traffic. I'm Nate Connors.
KIRO News Radio, 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Katrina Gashard. U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries made a stop in Bellevue this morning to talk about the future of health care under President Trump's big, beautiful bill. KIRO News Radio's James Lynch has details.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries joined Representative Susan Del Bene, Governor Bob Ferguson, and other elected officials at Overlake Medical Center to sound the alarm about cuts to health care, increases in patient costs, and the 250,000 people who will lose coverage here in Washington. Leader Jeffries says congressional Democrats will take a stand to protect all Americans.
We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Period. Full stop.
The cuts go into effect January 1st. In Bellevue, James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
A rally is planned this afternoon at Wright Park in Tacoma, where advocates will protest Mary Bridge Children's Hospital's decision to end gender-affirming care for new trans youth patients. Organizers say the move violates Washington law. They're calling on MultiCare to reverse the policy and urging state leaders to take legal action if necessary. President Trump has ordered the withholding of federal funds from medical facilities that provide gender-affirming care to young people. And in an email to the News Tribune, MultiCare says, unfortunately, due to increasing risk coming in from the federal government, we made the difficult decision to discontinue new or escalating gender-affirming care. The rally is set to begin at 4 this afternoon. And the price tag for Seattle's long-awaited West Seattle Link Light Rail just got a jaw-dropping upgrade, an $800 million jump in projected costs. The new figure is based on revised construction and property costs. Seattle City Council President Sarah Nelson.
I am extremely concerned that we are not going to be able to fulfill our commitment to the voters who voted for Sound Transit 3 precisely because of the Ballard and West Seattle extension.
The 4.2-mile West Seattle line is set to open in 2032. The Seattle Mariners are cooking with gas and swinging for glory. The M's won against the Anaheim Angels in the 12th inning last night.
Here comes the throw. Polanco steaming home. He slides. He's safe! And the Mariners win! And for the second night in a row, it's extra inning magic.
The Mariners take on the Angels again at T-Mobile Park. First pitch, 7:10. Catch all the action on our sister station, 710 Seattle Sports. And this weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing sunshine today with highs in the low 70s. Right now, it's about 63 in downtown Seattle. I'm Katrina Gashard. You're listening to KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Happy Friday, September 12th. Jake Skorheim here, sitting alongside Spike O'Neill. Happy Friday, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. Happy Friday to you.
Oh, my goodness. What a week. What a week. Feels like it's been a long one, hasn't it?
I was telling Laura, I've had a very short week. I didn't get here till Wednesday. It's been the longest short week of my life.
This has felt like
a hard week.
It has been a hard week. It's been a very tough week. It's been a very, Wednesday, just really, those days pop up and you just don't know what's going to happen. And when it does, it just can turn the whole world upside down, it feels. We are getting some movement in the story, though. They have, let's just jump right into first things first. Trump this morning, President Trump was on with Fox and Friends, and, we've been talking about this horrible political assassination that happened in Utah. Charlie Kirk was killed Wednesday when somebody took a shot at him and hit him and killed him while he was just on campus doing what Charlie Kirk did and became famous for doing, which is he would sit behind a microphone, he would have another open mic, and students, anybody who wanted to, could come up and present an idea to him, and he would have a respectful back and forth engagement with them. That's what he did. His weapons were words, and somebody used an actual weapon and took his life. Yeah. And then kind of got away with it for a few days. They were searching. There were some pictures of some suspects who were arrested, questioned by the police, and then let go. And this national manhunt was happening. And Trump announced this morning on Fox and Friends that he, with a high degree of certainty, that they have found a guy and apprehended him.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job.
I believe they took him into custody. I think it was Thursday night at about 10 o'clock.
And if I heard correctly, his father and their pastor?
The minister.
The minister, okay.
This is one of those stories that there's so many levels where it just feels so surreal. Like what happened Wednesday feels so surreal and so horrible and crazy. And then to think, as they started to piece these things together, the FBI initially released some video footage from, it looked like the back stairwell of maybe a building or something. It looked like some CCTV footage, maybe security cam, whatever. And it was kind of grainy, didn't look super great, but clearly parents or people out there, what they're hoping for is it's somebody in the area who recognized the general look of somebody, the build. He looks like he's of a kind of a slender nature, looks kind of tall. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to notice those things, even if it's a little pixelated, and maybe just start asking questions.
They were looking for, do you recognize this T-shirt that the suspect is wearing?
Sure.
Do you recognize that? Do you recognize the backpack?
He's wearing Converse, which is a specific look.
Any tip, and this was at the press conference last night, where they said, look, this is the video we have of him fleeing the scene, crossing the building.
Then they released a video.
Right. Well, they were asking
of him running across the building and jumping off.
And then across the field, into the neighborhood. At that point, you're looking, we're crowdsourcing information because we're fairly certain that this is our guy. We've got footage of his face, rough, bad picture, hat, shoes, backpack, coat. This is him. Boom, boom, boom. Looking for help.
TMZ posted a photo. This is the interesting thing about the internet. In the old days, we would just wait for government investigations, the FBI, all of this stuff. Newspapers, we'd get updates from newspapers on what's happening, local news, national news on TV. But now, because we have social media and the internet, TMZ got a hold of some ring cam that somebody posted that said, hey, shortly before, we live in a neighborhood next to the university, which is Utah Valley University, and our ring cam captured somebody who looks a little bit like the shape and size of the picture that the FBI released, and he's walking in the general direction of the school just slightly before the crowd started to gather before the Charlie Kirk event. And this guy walks. Did you see that video that TMZ released?
Yeah.
It's really bizarre because he's walking, and you can tell he's trying to walk without anybody noticing him. And he has a pretty obvious limp. Did you notice the limp?
Well,
there's only one reason why he's walking with a limp.
Because I saw people saying, well, that guy, if he's the shooter, where's the rifle?
It's in his pants.
To your limp. Yeah.
It's got to be in the pants.
Yeah.
And you have these people who are doing these investigations that are pretty effective and are showing a lot. That shows him heading towards campus with a limp, and then it shows that same individual, the same ring cam, catches that same guy, allegedly, running in the reverse direction after it happened, and he runs around behind a house, and then the camera zooms in because you can do that on these cameras, and it catches him kind of trying to slide out behind a house near some bushes, back towards wherever he may have parked his car. So,
was it 250 miles away from the shooting site? Is that what I read?
I believe, approximately somewhere around there. So he then, apparently, according to the news stories that I read, he then confessed to his dad that he did this. And just think about the tremendous weight that somebody might have on their.
You mean of the shooter? You mean?
Of the shooter. He needs to share this information with somebody. Okay. It's the biggest story in the world. He's being hunted by the U.S. government.
Yeah.
And he's
being hunted by every American.
He's being hunted by everybody, essentially.
Yeah.
And now he tells his dad, and can you imagine? I mean, I can't even fathom what that would be like. Your kid comes up to you and says, not only that, I mean, like your kids, hopefully if you have a good relationship with your kids, they're going to tell you things that they're ashamed of, and they want to work through it, and they're going to be truthful with you, and they're not going to lie to you. But usually what they're telling you are pretty small things in life.
I wrecked the car.
I wrecked the cars would be. I got a speeding ticket.
I cheated on my final.
Sure.
Whatever it might be.
But these are small things.
That's not. Yeah.
These are nothings.
I murdered her, man. I can't imagine being the. You know, it's. When I thought about this last night when I saw, or this morning when I saw that the father last night had been told, and the father had approached, had walked him into to authorities.
Oh, after they called their youth pastor,
right?
Who probably had some prior relationship with this kid. He's 22 years old. They called a youth pastor and said, "Hey, we need your help." And the family. That's the other thing about this family is they don't see. You think that maybe he comes from a troubled family, and we're not naming him because we just don't want to do that here. And I don't want to do further damage than this family's already going to suffer as a result of this. But I'm reading all about them. I'm seeing their pictures. I'm doing all these things online.
Yeah.
And from the outside, and again, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. We just don't. But from the outside, it kind of looks like the idyllic family. They live in a beautiful house, in a beautiful neighborhood, 6-bedroom house.
Yeah.
They have, he has apparently 2 brothers who are just recently getting excited for the start of school. His mom's posting pictures. They got pictures of the family going to Disneyland. You got all this stuff. This is just it seems like a normal family. And then you have this tear in the fabric of reality that happens. When
Radicalization of this young man.
It would seem to be. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be.
You know, you said it because you'd think a broken home would create a person who was capable of doing this. But there's the silver linings in this in so much that instead of just the kid fleeing and being gone in the wind and the manhunt continuing for days or weeks or whatever it may be, you never know. He still had enough of a family connection with his dad to go and talk to his dad.
According to the story, he said that he initially threatened that he was going to kill himself, then turn himself in, rather than turn himself in. But he was convinced by his parents to escort him back to Orem. And I put, God forbid you're ever in a situation like that. It's so insane. But just to think about, that's like you said, that's a couple hundred miles.
Yeah.
So you're driving in the car. You just think about what it would take for the parents, and they did the absolute right thing to turn him in.
Yeah. Because there's a moment of choice for a dad. What do you do? What do you do with your dad?
What do you do? But when you've done something like this, and when you've confessed to it to your parents, when you've done something like this, he's not a child anymore. As much as you see your kid and you love your kid, he's a man. He's a 22-year-old man, and he has made an adult decision to do something. One of the worst things that somebody could do. And now he's telling it to his dad, and he's put them in a position now where if they did anything other than turn him in, now they're also going to get in trouble with the law. And his dad has 2 other kids, apparently, according to this story that I read. He has other children to worry about.
Yeah,
he has a wife to worry about. He has his own. He has his own safety to worry about.
Potential for aiding and abetting charges are now on the table as your kid has told you his horrific act.
Yeah, imagine your instinct. Every one of your instincts as a parent is saying, like, all right, get this kid out of the country, help him disappear. But the second you make that decision,
you would put your entire family.
Your entire family's just gone. Impossible. And you know what? God bless these parents for having to make this choice, and I, God bless them. That's all I can say. It's just horrible.
It's amazing the situation that this family found themselves in after this person made this decision to take this act. And we see families all the way across country who are dealing with the actions of their kids and how they handle that. There's a story we'll talk about later today about the boy with the 23 guns. Mm-hmm. The 13-year-old who's got a home where he's printing up guns on a 3D printer.
Yeah, and who might be released soon.
But
come on.
So now, what about the parental relationship in that household?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I think you need to ask some questions for sure.
Exactly. And if you're releasing this kid, I don't know if we're going to get into that already, but if you're releasing this kid back into the community, because that's how judiciary process works, even with a 13-year-old child, the circumstances of his actions of threats and his system of investigating and becoming infatuated with school shootings gives cause for concern about what is released back in the community and how it's monitored and guarded. And
I was talking with my mom about that story, and she asked the same question that I had, which is that how does a parent, especially at 13, at 22, there's complete deniability by the parents that they knew. I mean, if this kid's living somewhere else,
but look at that life. Yeah,
you could be totally disconnected from what your adult child is doing. It doesn't mean that you're responsible. They did the right thing. They turned him in. They did the right thing.
Absolutely.
In the case of the kid who was 13 and had 23 weapons and had 23 guns.
He didn't live on his own, didn't have an apartment in town.
How did he acquire the 3D printer? Right. How is he getting these things? Where are these guns being stored? How are the parents not noticing these things?
Exactly.
All of these things are so relevant and need to be asked because that child is your responsibility. That's a child.
Yes.
It's a very, very different case.
It completely is, but it gives us cause to look at the family life in America. So many things that we have that we see the fractures in our society.
And yet here in this case in Utah, that's the part that stands out to me is it's idyllic.
Exactly.
It's a perfect family, it looks like. Parents have been married forever. They've been living in the same house where they've been living in this one address for, or at least in that little town for like nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
The dad's a 27-year veteran of the sheriff's department.
Oh.
According to the story,
first reporting, yeah.
This is the Utah governor, Spencer Cox,
who, by the way, the Utah governor he's
been on top of things,
and what an impressive his not just how he's been on top of things, of course, but his take on things, his spin, not spin, but his read, you got some audio of the Utah governor? Yeah, I can
put some audio here. Yeah, here you go.
I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence is it metastasizes because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse.
They also talked about, he further talked about just political assassinations and how it makes one look in the mirror.
Our nation is broken. We've had political assassinations recently in Minnesota. We had an attempted assassination on the governor of Pennsylvania. And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential candidate and former president of the United States, and now current president of the United States. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting, I would beg you to look in the mirror and to see if you can find a better angel in there somewhere. I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American. We just need every single person in this country to think about where we are and where we want to be. To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Cook stood for will put down their social media and their pens and pray for his family, and that all of us will try to find a way to stop hating our fellow Americans.
That's the kind of guy. That's a leader.
That's a leader.
It's the kind of guy I'd vote for. I don't care what letters behind his name. That's the kind of guy that we need. It's the kind of guy this country needs, right? It's kind of, yeah.
He seems like a good dude. I think Utah's in good hands.
Yeah.
On the potential for a death penalty in Utah, they do have capital punishment in Utah.
I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Which I guarantee you, as a law enforcement veteran, like this alleged shooter's dad is, he's fully well aware of. So you think about even harder. Every gut instinct you have in your body is to protect your kids no matter what. I tell my kids that every night. We do this little thing at night where we kind of end the night every night where we, I'm expressing, that I love them, and we just have these little things that we say to each other just to get them in the practice of being comfortable, saying I love you to people and stuff. Okay. And one of the things is like, I love you no matter what good things you do, and I love you no matter what bad things you do. And that's how parents feel about their kids.
Yeah.
And the idea that this guy had to hand his son over to the government of the United States because he just did what he did. That is, it feels weird to call it good parenting, but it is.
No, it is. You're right. It's. I'm having such a hard time keeping my emotions out of this conversation, but as a dad, what this kid needed was his dad to do the right thing for him, for his son, for his family, for all of us out here. He needed this dad to be a father there, and he did.
And he's not just parenting.
He knew what was coming. You're right. He knew what the consequences were going to be.
And likely to be. Oh, tragic story. It really is. Can we were going to talk about baseball next, but I'm kind of being inspired to take a little bit of a lateral move here. I would like to talk a little bit about some of the reactions to this. There's been some online responses that I think are interesting. From some local teachers. And the question of, if you're posting something private, or not privately, but not as in your official capacity as a teacher.
Oh, okay, I see where you're going.
But if you're posting it privately, should you suffer repercussions at your workplace?
Oh, that's a great question.
And I'll read you what they said. There was a couple locally here that were not sad about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
No, I hear you. And people, what the governor just said about look in the mirror, find the better angels.
Yes. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And then what do parents think should be the results of this? And do you want to know if your teachers are having these thoughts and expressing themselves in this way in a public forum? All right, we got all that and much more. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.